But right now in Parliament, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu is addressing the press. And we're taking you live to Parliament right now.
To deepening our democratic ethos, that's your contribution for better accountability, and that's your contribution to demand accountability from institutions such as Parliament. A while ago, presiding, a Deputy Speaker of Parliament, who by the construction of our rules, our standing orders, in Order 109, assumes the role of a speaker and is not entitled under Article 102 of the Constitution to be part of a quorum, let alone be part of a voting process. So when you hear that yesterday a budget was approved with concessions only known to a finance minister, not known to the financial policy and budget statement, and not known to the August House of the Parliament of Ghana, how then can we exercise oversight over the purse when we simply don't have information on those concessions? Be as it may, many of the issues we raise on the floor of Parliament from our honorable members, including their own, in contributing to the debate, was to raise matters that are legal, that are constitutional. The Minister of Finance is reminded that he does not come to Parliament under Article 179 on his own authority. He comes on the authority of the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Therefore, he owes us a duty to demonstrate fidelity to the law and fidelity to Parliament as an institution. When you report on Ejapa and say that Parliament granted you approval, and we remind you that the wording is to reflect the resolution which was adopted by Parliament, that rectification must be an unnegotiated matter. Simplicity. You are to correct it. You have no option because you kept the wrong phrase or quote in your budget. We didn't. On Acre Energy, when you say Ejapa and we serve you notice that today and tomorrow, we in the minority will not accept securitization of mineral resources. Without any security or collateralization, Ghana makes $130 million every year from mineral resources and its accompanying revenue, apart from its contribution to employment and contribution to our gross national product. Anyway, this afternoon press conference is a simple one. It's to remind President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo that the people of Ghana did not vest the governance of this country in his person alone as President of the Republic. Yeah. They gave him a mandate as executive president to work in tandem for the good of the Ghanaian people with the Parliament of Ghana, making it a hang. Today we have been told that deputy speakers are not speakers. Our standing orders have been set aside. Any of you here, open your standing order and read the definition of speaker. It includes deputy speakers and persons presiding, as is expected of them under Article 102 of the Constitution. When you hear the Constitution, and go to the record, I've used it on the floor of Parliament, when you hear the Constitution say, except otherwise as provided in the Constitution, those of us who understand constitutional law, it operates as a limitation that in the exercise of that authority and mandate, have respect to other provisions of the Constitution. In any case, is it our minority they want to teach Article 104? Go to the record. I, on Thursday, 25th, stated on the floor of Parliament, reminding Speaker Bagbin that tomorrow, Friday, I will invoke Article 104 of the Constitution. At that time, as boastful and arrogant as they have been, they said they will populate it. So today you have seen what population does. The first Deputy Speaker simply abandoned putting a question on a motion and opted to give a ruling. You don't rule on a motion. The motion was accommodated. The motion was seconded. It was debated. All he needed to do was for the House to decide. But they knew that on their side, their numbers were not enough. It's to remind President Akufo-Addo and the majority leader that majority in Parliament is majority present and voting, not majority outside the presence, the chamber, in the skies. No, members available, present and voting. That is what the Constitution contemplated, even in Article 104. You know, and we took them by surprise, and we'll be taking them by surprise in the coming days. In the coming days, many other motions will come by vote. Many other decisions will come by vote. I have cautioned that we mean well, because the economy of this country certainly should not collapse on any of us, not even on President Nana Akufo-Addo. That cannot be my wish. But he must govern with respect to the law and the Constitution. The first Deputy Speaker must respect our standing orders and respect the provisions of the Constitution. When I said, except otherwise as provided in the Constitution, if you come and read 104, and it provides, except otherwise as provided in the Constitution, it simply says, respect what is in 102. Otherwise, it has already been provided for on that matter. Therefore, respect it. So, our democracy should not suffer. We will demonstrate that from today, as I said, the business of Parliament, I will subject it to a new standard. And the new standard will be that on critical matters, vote. If they are more than us, they are more than us. If we are more than them, we are more than them. So they should know that the days of mobocracy is over, mob rule. The days when they disrespected us as an insignificant minority is over. It's over. And that the Parliament of Ghana must be respected. I'm particularly appalled that the Deputy Speaker, who ought to be holding the back of the Speaker, will abandon him midstream. You know, let me share this joke with you. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia been told tomorrow to act as president, then he does a reshuffle. That's what they are doing. Wouldn't you people question it? Wouldn't you question it? Hold my back, watch my back, and it is that I have erred on what? And now he says he is not a speaker. So tomorrow, who precise? Maybe he is inviting us to just elect one of our own. We shouldn't get there. I have respect for him as Member of Parliament and as First Deputy Speaker. But at least we are all learning the lessons that it is not always the case that the majority will be more than the other side in the chamber, present and voting. So they must learn lessons. Then, more importantly, you saw what has been reported in the vote. I'm quoting him. I didn't vote. But yesterday he said, I'm part of it. So it means this decision was 137 of what? I leave it to you. No, 137 of what number? 137. So when you say one half, there is no 274. When you divide it, you know what you want. But 275, when you divide it, are you going to get 137.5? I leave it to you. So when you say a decision was taken, overturned, because it was taken by 137, they have confirmed for me today, they've brought into my bed, that their decision was also 137. That is why we are strong that it is as unconstitutional as they purport, that our Friday decision was unconstitutional. But get the difference. Do you know why the first deputy wanted to announce that he's part of a quorum? He wanted them to have 138. Remind him that on Friday 26th, they were part of the quorum which took the decision. So we are better. And therefore, the Friday decision was better than theirs. He is boastful that he was part of a quorum. They were part of the quorum when the 137 rejected it. A walkout does not mean you were not present in Parliament and participating in the business of Parliament. Therefore, Speaker Alban Bagbin couldn't have been wrong with his ruling, because they only walk out to avoid Article 104.3, which says where there is a parity, the vote is lost. So we were 137, less one Ajua Safo, they were also 137. Presumptively. Then let me address the more important issue. Quorum, if it is not raised, because we are masters of our procedure, business goes on. Number at voting, because we are masters of our own procedure under Article 110, business goes on. But you don't walk out. What does it mean? I'm not happy. Maybe they were expressing their disappointment in their own budget with the walkout. That is what it could mean, other than avoiding the defeat. I'll be happy to answer your questions. I hear that the Minister for Finance will address a press conference. And again, the media, laughable. How can you approve a budget, read the votes and procedure, and say that this budget is approved subject to concessions? The budget, as was laid by Ken Ofori-Atta and read on behalf of the President, pursuant to Article 179, was not accompanied by concessions. That's not Galamsey rights that he is to grant. That's not Galamsey rights he is to grant. And say that what concessions? So they simply must have accepted that a certain revision of the original budget was necessary for us, for the good of the country, to stand together. And as I indicated, we move extra mile to contain them, even to help them consolidate fiscally. Whilst we call for prudent expenditure, they just dismiss us with disrespect. Now we matter and will matter in the coming days. Okay, I'm happy to take a few questions.
Three questions. Yeah, leader, just a quick one. I've been engaging some of the NDC people.
Yes.
And the claim is that there was no substantive motion before that. Because
yesterday was a substantive motion. When we challenged him to produce a statement to the Speaker, he says he's not Speaker. So if a statement was made, I'll find out from Speaker Bagbin whether a statement was made to that request. You see, we know them well. Me, I didn't come as Haruna with my own rules. I just stated what he did yesterday and then behaved as he behaved yesterday. So what is good for the goose must be good for the gander. Yep, another question.
Yes. Dukes, I beg you, if you can.
Go ahead. No, that's what we did. No, that's what we did. We recognize that there's a speaker, there's a presiding person. It's not for nothing that the Constitution in Article 96 provides for two deputy speakers to assist the speaker. They don't assume the role of the speaker. That's why you have a vice president. He doesn't assume except when the president is absent. And even that is constitutional jurisprudence. When President Nana Addo Dankwa is in the sky going to London, you think he's no longer president of Ghana. He's still the president. But hold my back in my absence. Maybe I should teach you the constitutional theory of it. The Americans wanted to avoid what they call a constitutional interregnum, a vacuum, because of their attitude to war. So that midnight, if somebody has to take a decision, someone will be able to take it. God bless.
So that was Minority Leader Haruna Idrisa addressing the media, and he made his point clear to the media that they are challenging and are not happy with the conduct of the First Deputy Speaker, Joseph Owusu, yesterday. They're saying that his comments that he's not the speaker leaves much to be desired, and he's sending a clear warning that going forward, the business of the House will be conducted on a different level. That, for me, is the word. He says everything that comes to the House for approval will be voted for. That should be worrying.
Well, I mean, that's in the absence of consensus building. And that's why, he's talked about they are willing to engage all the same because they do not want the economy to suffer. And once they do not want the economy to suffer, what it means is that the majority side should be engaging them. And, the points we have made in the past, I have made these points in the past that, yes, under the circumstance, the majority must engage. And if you must engage, you must not engage and say, I cannot do anything about these. We've talked about revenues. I mean, bridging the revenue gap, you must also look at your expenditure. Mm-hmm. So the question you ask yourself is, all the things we have put in the budget, are there certain expenditure that we can remove? And the minority is also talked about, for instance, putting in place, the continuation of the phase 2 of the Keta Sea defense to Blekusu and extended to other parts of the coast so that we do not experience the storm surge that we experienced in the past. That is additional funding. So you ask yourself the question, what else can be done? These are all the things that, are open to the majority. So you accept it and also say, can you allow me to do a 1.25% maybe? Mm-hmm. And that would be allowed. Yeah. At this point in time, we're faced with the prospect of not having the powers to spend in 2022. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure no government would want to do that. Yeah. And the advice of Cletus Avoka is, at this point, with a hung parliament, do not behave like the 169106. Mm-hmm. You don't have the numbers. Yep. And because you have ministers who are members of parliament, mm-hmm. they may be engaged in critical ministerial work.
And that may not allow them to be in parliament.
And you've seen it happening before. There were instances, in the parliament of 2009 to 2013, when the majority was in the minority on the floor, and the minority with the numbers tried calling for a vote, and you see at the time, it will be session will be suspended for some time. The whips would try and mobilize their members and bring them in for parliamentary business to continue. Whatever happens, at this point, just as the president said on the night of the declaration of the 2020 elections, Parliament should be engaged in consensus building. Mm-hmm. The era of I have the numbers, it is not the case today. Yeah. And look, there are many persons who have said, we look forward to the day where there will be the ruling party or the governing party would not have the majority in parliament. Mm-hmm. And this is serving as a check also, mm-hmm. because now the majority is forced to engage. Yep. If the majority doesn't want to engage, we will see what is going to happen. Yeah. It means that, our ministers should be in parliament every day, mm-hmm. doing parliamentary business.
And that means that work of government will be
hope that nobody falls sick over the period, mm-hmm. because every vote, every decision will be subjected to a vote. I think there's a way of going about this. Yep. The government must begin to make concessions, and the government must begin to engage and must be seen to be engaging in good faith.
And something must definitely give to be able to reach this consensus. Winston Amwa is deputy head of our political desk here at JoyNews. We're still live on the Pulse, and we are on all our social media handles. It's at JoyNews on TV. You can tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is at Venana Aisha. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll be talking about the Omicron strain of COVID-19. Remember, we are told that we found our first case and it spreads through the world with speed.
Through the robust testing at the Kotoka International Airport, Ghana has detected the Omicron variant.